Hey guys, what's happening? I'm the Tomice here and welcome back to Timbukton. In this episode, guys, we're going to be actually starting North Timbukton. Well, actually, we kind of started it in the last couple of episodes, you know, developing the road networks and everything going through here. But today, we're going to be placing down some actual buildings and starting to develop North Timbukton. We're not going to get too far. A lot of this episode will be involved with road networks still, but we're going to wrap that up and start to actually build things. So I'm only going to focus on one particular area in North Timbukton to start off with, and that's going to be an abandoned mall. And I'm going to get into a little bit more of the backstory with this mall in a little bit as the episode goes on. But for now, I'm going to focus on setting up the road network. I'm going to build a small interchange around here to provide a good access. It's kind of like the last exit before you get into Timbukton. So yeah, there's going to be like a small interchange over here. And originally, I wasn't going to make this interchange, but I figured all of the people who are working in this section of the city, or all the people who are commuting from this section of the city, rather, and making their way into downtown Timbukton, without this interchange, it would make for quite a detour and a pretty long commute into town. So I figured I would provide the citizens of North Timbukton with you know, one last highway connection before you get onto the Timbukton Peninsula. And I made it in a way that it looks kind of like crammed in here. So with this part of town, you know, it's North Timbukton, it's off of the Maine Peninsula, but it's still like really close to downtown. You know, like the highway almost brings you right to the center of the city, so you are still close to the city center. So with that being said, a lot of the houses and buildings and things around this part of North Timbukton are still going to be quite old, and I kind of had to make it as if the highway was laid down. You know, it was just kind of like laid right through a neighborhood of some sorts, and the interchange here had to be really compact, so it was a little bit of a challenge to make it look right. And you know, dealing with the terrain, once again, we're dealing with some pretty massive changes in elevation, so it made it for quite a challenge to get this to look good. But you know, you'll see in a little bit that I think I managed, you know, pretty decent for what this is. I did play around a little bit with the node tool, or no, not the node tool. Yeah, well, the node, whatever it's called. Anyway, the node tool. But it's kind of hard to work with these highway textures and with, you know, changes in elevation. It kind of like screws up the elevation around, you know, the node that you're working with. So I was kind of limited to what I could do with it. But with a combination of the node tool and the road markings tool, I think I'm going to make something that looks pretty decent. I'm not going to detail the highway just yet. I'm going to wait a little farther down in the series. But I'm fairly confident I can manage to make something that's really nice. So we got one side of the interchange done. The second side is going to be kind of unique. I'm going to make like an on and off ramp coming off the highway, and it's going to be in a sort of like sunken highway kind of configuration. You'll see what I mean in just a second here, but it makes for a pretty unique interchange in my opinion. And again, like with that whole thing that I was saying, that the interchange kind of had to be squeezed into this neighborhood without, you know, destroying an entire block. It kind of makes sense to have this kind of interchange here. It's very compact and rather inefficient, but often city planners have to work around, first of all, like purchasing land and destroying homes and things like that. So oftentimes you have to sacrifice a little bit of reliability and things like that to make an interchange work. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I'm actually really excited to get started in North Timbukton. So the reason why I chose to develop North Timbukton before, continuing on in other parts of town, such as like where Lucky Panda placed down Disney of Timbukton, it's just I wanted the city to kind of expand in a few different spots outwards, and then I can kind of get a better grasp of how I want the surrounding areas around Timbukton to be. So, if I can plop down a few neighborhoods on the outskirts of town, then I can, it kind of makes it easier to then like fluff up the neighborhoods and then merge them all together and then get like a good glimpse of the city kind of fading its way out into suburbia, if that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, here is the interchange in its completed form. Now, the second part of the episode that we're going to get into is building up the strip mall well, you'll see where it is in just a second. But here, I decided to skip the entire like road, like the street layout construction. I didn't want to bore you guys too much with that, so here's like a nice little time lapse of that entire neighborhood. This is what it's going to look like, and this is the first time that I think I've got a knack for laying down these streets. I mentioned a couple of episodes ago where I found it like super challenging to lay down some streets to where they look realistic and they kind of look like your average American suburb. But lately, I've been doing pretty good with that. I think I've got it down pat, and it's I'm able to create some decent American-looking suburbs without too much struggle now. So anyways, moving on to the abandoned strip mall that I mentioned. So right now it doesn't look too abandoned, although, well, I mean, I plopped down this unnamed box store here. And so the premise of this, what I want to do is I want to give you guys the opportunity to purchase this chunk of land here. So this entire block, this entire circle area between the highway and this avenue, this is up for sale. So the owner of this strip mall here has decided to sell the property because there were no tenants willing to move into this area. So they said, well, screw it, I might as well just sell it. So I want you guys to come up with a plan, I guess, for this area. So the city of Timbukton has actually incentivized a buyer to purchase this area, and they're going to cut the purchaser a huge tax cut. So that's where you guys come in. I want you guys to think, to pretend that you're some sort of investor or a property developer or something of the sorts who are interested in purchasing this property and doing something interested with it. That's either, revitalizing this mall, or if you would rather just tear it down and develop some condos or something like that. Let me know down in the comments what you would like me to do. And what I'm thinking of doing with this is I'm gonna conglomerate my maybe top 3 or top 5 suggestions, and then in the next episode I'd like to have a vote on which one should win. So actually I'll have to look into that, because I think YouTube was getting rid of the polling feature, which is kind of sad because I really like that. But anyways, I'll look into that. I'll find out some way where you guys can go and either let me know somehow of what you would like to do with this property. Let me know down in the comments, guys. So let me know who you are, create a fictional character for yourself, and let me know what you would like to do with this property. So yeah, I am gonna make it look semi-run down. So you can see the parking lot is in quite in a disrepair state. I did decide to plop down a few operational buildings around the mall though. So we have a bank and a gas station that are still fully operational, and I made an effort to make the parking lot look in a little better shape in that corner. But for the most part, I mean, it's in pretty bad shape. Like you can see the grass is just growing through the parking lot. So either way, I mean, if anything is going to happen to this lot, the parking lot pretty much needs to be resurfaced. So you guys can consider that in your into your sales pitches, I guess. And I mean, why was this mall abandoned in the first place? I can't really tell you guys. I mean, it looks to be in quite a hot spot. You know, it's right between the crossroads of downtown and North Timbukton, right beside the highway. So it is prime real estate. But I don't know, maybe the stores themselves just fell on hard times and no new tenants were willing to move into their spots. But anyways, I'll leave that up to you guys to decide. So moving across the street now, so I had this little chunk of land here between the avenue and the bay of Timbukton, and I thought for a while, what should I build here? And a nice marina just came to mind. I thought this was an excellent place to plop down a marina, just a small one, like nothing compared to what's downtown and compared to other marinas around town, but I figured, like, I don't know, a marina would just fit really nice in this area. So for the next couple of minutes, that's what we're going to be working on. And while I was working on this, it gave me some inspiration on what I'd like the surrounding area to look like. And I won't divulge too many details right now, but it's going to be industry related. And I guess I'll give you guys a little hint of what I want to build here. Think of Portland, Maine, right across the bay from like the downtown area. You know, think of like that industrial oil refinery area. So that'll give you guys a good example of what this whole thing's going to look like. But you'll just have to stay tuned for that. I'm not sure if I'm going to start working on that in next episode, but you'll just have to see. Actually, no, I did record next episode already. Yeah, so we're still going to be developing North Timbukton in next episode. So I'm going to be laying down like a whole bunch of residential and commercial areas. So I'm going to be like finishing the entire area that we laid down our streets for in the next episode. So I don't know, maybe the next one after that we'll start on, I guess we'll call it the refinery area. as you can see, guys, this area may not be the most picturesque in the city, but like any North American city at least, this is often the case, you know? I mean, no city is perfect. No city is like Beverly Hills kind of style, you know? You need a little bit of grunge here and there, and it just gives the city more character, more soul. So, you know, you need these kind of parts of town. So that's gonna pretty much be it for this episode, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I really hope you enjoyed it. And I mean, I've already mentioned what's going to be happening in the next episode, so stay tuned for that. And as usual, guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for many more videos to come out. And be sure to check out my Patreon page as well if you'd like to support the channel. So again, I thank you guys so much for watching, and until the next episode, guys, take care.